Hi, welcome to Unboxing Entrepreneurship. Startups usually spend some time refining what they offer based on their customers' needs. But if you find the right product market fit, that's when you have a sale. So today's guest is going to talk about the product market fit for his company. I've got Ravi, who's the founder of UdChalo. Let's get right into hearing about his journey. Hi, Ravi. Welcome to Unboxing Entrepreneurship.
Thank you so much, ma'am, for having me.
So we've been interacting for a long time, and for our viewers, Ravi and I are army brats, and we both studied engineering in the same college. So I'm really excited to talk to someone who's gone through at least their childhood in a similar manner as me, moved a lot of cities. First of all, congratulations, Ravi, on completing 10 years of UdChalo. I know it must be a very exciting time for you.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Yes, indeed. First few years are definitely struggling, but now I think I am enjoying the path of this entrepreneurship, which anyways I'll talk about more in going forward in this interaction.
Yeah. So do tell us about what UdChalo does and or what UdChalo does now, and then we will trace the history a little later in this conversation.
Sure. So maybe I'll start with how we started.
Yeah.
So 2011, I was working for Dassault System, and then I, along with my college junior and one of his school friend, two of us were from army background. One of the guy was from Air Force background. We together, and three of us were mechanical engineer, by the way. So
Yes.
we thought, let's solve a very peculiar problem that then existed with the aviation industry. And if you remember, 2011 was the same year when Kingfisher debacle happened.
Yeah.
So when we went into deep and when we studied more, we found that almost 48,000 seats are going vacant in all the airlines together on a particular date. So 48,000 seats are going vacant on one side, and at the same time, on any particular date, almost 3 lakh people are being rejected by railways due to wait list. And in India, if you look at, these are the two modes of transport chosen for long haul travel.
Yeah.
So we thought, why can't we bring railway passenger and give it to the airline, so that even if they make 1 rupees though on those seats, at least 48,000 rupees they are making. Right?
Yeah.
So that was the intent. And if you look at any airline, airlines, they have three major cost components. First is ATF prices, that we keep talking about. The air turbine fuel is what we say. Second is they have to incur a cost of airport taxes. So our ticket, if you see, there is a component called queued fees, and then those stuff. Those are nothing but we have to pay to the government to use the basic amenities at the airport. And the third factor that controls any airline is the PLF, which is the passenger load factor. So unfortunately, we can't do anything for the first two because those are controlled by the government. Whereas we can definitely do something when it comes to increasing the passenger load factor for the airline. And that was the initial idea. Let's bring railway passenger, give it to the airline. The only challenge in that idea was airline has to accept this model, and they have to lower their fare to AC2 and AC3 so that a railway customer can afford an airline ticket. So we started with this idea. Idea looked cool, and initially we started sending mails to all the airlines to accept this idea. It almost took 4 or 5 months when one of the airline CXO he reverted back and he asked us to come to Mumbai to present some data. And also I still remember for almost 1 week we worked on the data part to show the projection and all. When we met him, he got excited too, and he said, I also want to be a part of this venture. So now we were 4 co-founders, and we were excited too also because you get a validation from one of the CXOs of the airline that idea has some strength.
Yeah.
So now 3 mechanical engineers, 1 airline CXO. Still we needed something which is called the technology. Technology has to be. So now we started venturing out to find a technology partner. We got a company also onboarded, a Pune-based company, and they got ready to build the product because they saw that the idea has some value, and there is an airline CXO also on the board.
Mm.
So knowing this, uh, it went for few more months. And what happened then, that the airline CXO, because he was a US citizen, he went back US. So again, things fell apart. We were again started looking for somebody who can help us technologically, because that company, they were only helping us because they knew that there is an airline CXO then.
Mm.
So again, AIT came to rescue, and I approached one of our senior, Vijender sir.
Mm.
So we went to his office in Baner, and we tried to convince him a lot to join us.
Mm.
But rather than that, he referred us to one of his classmates, Varun, who later became my co-founder. Varun, go and meet Varun, because Varun was already running a travel technology company called Tavishka.
Mm.
So that's how 28th May 2012, I still remember, it was a Monday, and we three of us went and met Varun in his office. And you'll not believe, we were so naive that actually we asked Varun to sign a non-disclosure agreement before we revealed the idea.
Oh.
Which Varun happily signed, by the way.
Yeah.
So things moved ahead, and August 2012, I thought, let's resign from the company, because one has to work full time, because one guy already was working for Fiat, another guy was doing his final year from IIT Delhi, and Varun was already working. So there has to be one guy who kinds of go and meet all the airlines and try to convince the airline to buy this particular model. And that's where I thought, let's resign from this job. And I did so. And 12th September, we registered our company. 14 September 2012, we registered our company, and 14 September, we celebrated now our 10th year. So that's where the journey started. But then what happened, I took a lot of loans and credit cards before leaving the company, thinking that, okay, this loan will take care of me for next 1 year at least. And by that time, my startup start giving me so much of money that I will be able to pay these loans and all those things. With all those hopes, I left the company. But destiny has some other plan. My money got finished within 6 months, because I may be, one of those exceptional guy who was using personal loan amount to pay the personal loan EMI. And yeah, so money got finished by the end of December, and 2012 passed. So 2011 kind of passed, 2012 passed. 2013 we entered, and that was one of the, you can say, one of the challenging worst year in that way, if you look at the entire 10 years. Because what happened in 2013, money was finished, the pressure from the home started building up.
Yeah.
And one of my flank mate from AIT, my classmate, also my flank mate, both were mechanical guys, he was my neighbor also from Danapur Cant. He became an IAS officer. Now you can think of the kind of pressure but building on you, why you are not doing something, you are not trying for IAS and all. So that was the first kind of pressure. The money got finished, so now the bankers start calling me and reaching my homes and sending people at my home. So there was no option but to leave that home, and I start staying with my flank juniors. By then they were employed. So thankfully they did not charge any rent. The only barter that we did was, I had a car, so I had to take them on weekends to Lonavala, Kantala.
Okay.
So that was the only barter. And 2013 was just going, and nothing, no lead, no airline were accepting this model for a very simple reason, that what if somebody intentionally buy a railway ticket to get an airline ticket at a discount price? And we were in almost kind of on the verge of convincing them. But by then we also approached IRCTC that if you can give access of your database, then we may be able to convince the airline. But knowing this idea, IRCTC started this idea. So that was another setback, because if a giant like IRCTC started, there is no scope of people like us to do anything. But what happened after 3 months was even worse, because IRCTC had to stop this because they could not sell more than 30-40 tickets in a month. Now, when we went to the airline starts saying, if IRCTC can't do it, those who own all the data, how can you three guys be able to make a success out of this business? So it was really challenging, difficult to convince. So the other two guys, they decided to go back to their jobs. Varun was anyways doing full-time job in Tavishka, so he was always there as a support. But then I was alone. Then by then I was like, okay, chalo, chhodte hain and let's do something else. But 2013 and Varun took us to Goa to celebrate our closure party. And then 2013 finally ended. So the 13 number thing ended, and 2014, as soon as we entered, I also decided, let's go and join Indian Army, because by then the only job I could have thought of where I could join, I mean, because there was a lot of gap in corporate job by then. So I thought, let's join Army and let's get some stability now. That was my reason then. And the only entry I was unfortunately eligible for was Territorial Army, because I had already 26, 27 by then. So I went for Territorial Army entry in SSB Bangalore and I got rejected. But that's where I got this idea that 98% of the Army people, they are actually entitled to travel by railways. Only 2% who are officers, they have to mandatory travel by Air India. Then it was Air India. So let's target this market, because anyways, airline had always this challenge that what if somebody buys a railway ticket and give it to the airline. So idea came, Eurocare moment, I came back and then I discussed with the airline, and somehow airline got agreed to this. And first airline was Jet Airways, and that was the time when first time in India somebody created a concept of defense fare. There was no defense fare before that. So we are a category creator of defense fare in that way, in that sense. So we created that 2014, slowly start, but that was a very small win, but it really felt good. So 2014 khatam ho gaya, and 2014, by the end of 2014, what I did, test the model small. During entire year 2014, I stayed at Bangalore. In Bangalore, SSB Bangalore, actually, I just chose Bangalore because if somebody comes in Bangalore, especially I started from SSB Bangalore, because if somebody comes for the interview at SSB Center, they don't know on which day they are going to get rejected. It could be day 1, day 5, or medical can be closed at any point of time, right? Maybe 3 days, 4 days. So since you are always uncertain about your return date, you never book your return ticket. Whereas Bangalore is almost at the south. And if somebody is coming from Chandigarh or Delhi, it is challenging for them. So now I sat in SSB Bangalore for 9 months, selling air tickets and finding the product market fit. That was the first time you can say we found our product market fit, and lately we expanded to the entire defense forces. So 2014 also went by. 2015 we thought, why only Jet? Let's bring other airlines. So January 2015 we bought few more airlines, and that was the first year our financial got close. I still remember we did close to 20-30 lakhs rupees of ticket during our first year. And from then it was non-stop. We reached almost 850 crores in just 5 years of time. So once you found the product market fit, from almost 30-40 lakhs to 872 within 5 years is what we have achieved. So that's the story of UdChalo, how it started. And recently, of course, because we are the only company, if you look in the travel industry, everybody is trying to tap a market from the already existing market. For example, if you are an air traveler, every OTA is trying to tap you. But we are the only company that has added a new class of customer in the Indian aviation. And the number is 30 lakhs. So we have added 30 lakhs new virgin flyers, you can say, in the Indian aviation industry. And for that, of course, we recently got awarded by by Prime Minister Narendra Modi. So that was our national startup award, actually. So yeah, so that's the story of UdChalo.
Pretty impressive, and there is a lot of pivoting, a lot of patience. I see that, especially your first 2 years, and I think that one of the biggest challenges that entrepreneurs face and maybe are not prepared for is those initial years, because you go and you think you have a superb idea and you know exactly who your audience is. Maybe you know your numbers, and you say your target market is 10 million people in this age group and that tier city and all. But till you don't actually start making sales, you don't realize that what all small changes you need to make in your idea. And too many people get too married to the idea. So I think in your case, you had an idea and you kept pivoting it. You were not fixated on the idea, nor were you fixated on the customer. You just had a thought that this is what you could do. You could open up the aviation industry to maybe new passengers, or utilize the unused tickets. That was your basic I guess thought, but then you kept finding ways to make it happen, and it did take you 2-3 years. So it's a good conversation to have about product market fit. In your case, it took what, 3 years to actually achieve it? 2 to 3 years, right?
Yeah, 3 years.
3 years, right?
So finally we found in 2014.
2014, right? And so you identified the exact audience who was suitable for what your idea was, right? So that's how you've been able to add so many more flyers in the aviation industry, because that audience was actually not utilizing whatever they were entitled to, or whatever they could get from the aviation industry. So that's pretty cool. So I do want to talk to you about this was your initial journey where you were trying to figure out what is it that you want to bring in the market. Now, since then, you have done a lot more things for the same audience. You've added, I think you've gone into real estate, you've added some other things as well. Does it become easier to find the product market fit when you're launching new products, or does it require the same amount of effort?
So we started with, of course, airline ticket, and that was, you can say, very easy to get you entry into the gate because it's a commodity product at the end. And also somebody first thought about doing real welfare for the armed forces, because we went and fought with airlines to create this product, which now available not only on the airline website, but other OTAs too. In fact, other OTAs copied during the COVID time, because during COVID time for a few days, we were the largest travel company in India. Because only defense people were traveling. So we became so large that, of course, everybody got to know, and then they started also tapping this customer base. But what soldiers have realized, that whenever UdChalo does something, they think and they keep us at the center. And I will take an example, our vision statement. It clearly says, making life simpler for our soldiers. Anything that we do, anything, we just keep our vision in mind. It has to make life simpler. In fact, in all the meeting rooms that we have, even on the walls, there is a guy, there is a seat reserved for our customer, and he always asks whenever we make any decision, whether this decision of yours is going to make my life simpler or not. So now coming back to product market fit, so we definitely found a TAM, which we understand very well because we come from the same background. Now the idea was, okay, travel is one thing that they needed, we provided them. What are the other things? And if you look at the military almost provide everything to you at your doorstep, be it school education, your hospital, your ration, most of the things are provided. Travel was something not provided, but there are many other things also which are not provided. For example, in canteen, you cannot get mobile phones. So we thought, let's bring mobile phones. And fortunately, Samsung India, they were also looking for a partner to tap the defense forces. And that's how we launched our consumer electronics. Now we are getting into the electric bikes. Now, all the military camps are so huge. The cycle is one of the favorite mode of transport. And if the military camps are in the areas of, let's say, northeast and extreme north, far north, then there is a hilly terrain actually in Udhampur and all those areas. So that's where we thought, let's bring the electric bike at an affordable price. So whatever we do, whatever product we launch, we just think of one thing, which is our vision of housing. Why we did housing? Because in housing, we have Army Welfare Housing Organization anyways, but still AWHO is catering to few of the cities. There are many other cities, there are many other locations where Army people are looking. And we are seeing that most of their monies are stuck actually with big builders. And so that's where we wanted to come in and help them. So any product that we launch, market we know, any product that we launch, we just first go and ask them and then launch, so that the product market fit always. And there is so earlier it was very challenging also to convince somebody who doesn't come from defense background. But I will take an example here. So there is a company which is even larger than Tesla, Uber, Fiserv, and Rocher, all those big companies, because it's a Fortune 87, and they only serve the US Armed Forces. So the company name is USAA. And what they have done, they have just created different product that suit the US Armed Forces. What we are trying to do, we are going to create different products that suits the Indian Armed Forces. So there is a corollary that you can draw. Recently, we got to know about this company.
Yeah. Once you know your audience, your customer really well, and of course you do because you come from that background, so you understand even the subtle nuances that maybe a civilian might not know. But for any company, once you know your audience really well, it does become much easier. And also your audience is more receptive of whatever you throw at them, right? So even if you come up with a new idea, even if it has not been tested before, or even if maybe they don't feel the need for it all the time, but when you come up with that offer, for example, what is this, packing services, moving from one city to another, again, it's not a problem that it's not a problem in the armed forces, because there is always this kind of manpower which helps you move. But the minute you are out of that shell, the minute you're out of that protective gear, all of a sudden you have to figure out who to get, to move all your saman from one place to another. And how much stuff armed forces acquire over time, right? So things like that, it may not be their constant need, but at least even if they have that need once in their life and you're fulfilling that, they will always come to you and they will always say, yeah, this company is synonymous with what I want. Customer will always be loyal to you. So that's pretty great. And I've always been impressed by how well you know your customer and how you've kind of broadened out into that customer. I think it's a very, very good example of what other companies should also do. Just focus on one customer, focus on the niche, really understand it and identify their different needs. So thanks, Ravi. It was a great conversation. I know that people will feel inspired, through your story, because it's not a straight graph. It's not like, yeah, I started 10 years ago and I went straight up. No, there is a lot of struggle. There is a lot of pivot, and there's a lot of self-motivation that needed to come in, right? When you felt you were the only one, even then, after that, you created something that is now successful today. So congratulations for that. And thank you so much for coming.
Thank you so much, ma'am.